Hi, welcome back to our TEFL Online here in Glasgow, and here we have for your delight and delectation David Crystal, who's brought a friend along. I see you've got a friend there with you.
Well, I have.
For today.
You know, TEFL runs these various projects for charity to help develop their ideas and things. And here's the Highlander that has come, and I just picked him up now on the way. And as soon as I bought him, they said, "He looks like you." You know, I think they've. You know, is there a similarity here?
I don't see it really.
You don't see it?
No, I don't see it.
But at least 3 people have said they've obviously modelled it on me, you know. Well, it's better than being called Father Christmas.
Yeah, I guess.
So there he is, that's the Highlander.
Yeah. And you've also bought a book along, which I liked this subtitle here, Making Sense, the Glamorous Story of English Grammar.
Oh, yes. This is the latest book, Making Sense. The glamorous story of English grammar.
Why glamorous? How is English grammar? How is English grammar glamorous? Glamorous.
Well, the first thing you need to know, Nick, is that, if you don't already, is that glamour and grammar have the same origin. Etymologically, they come from the same word. Because once upon a time, the study of language, and especially the written language, was thought to be rather magical and mysterious and so on, and the only people who could write were the magicians, you know, there's all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And so then the two terms separated over time. And today, grammar is what? For most people, it's boring. It's analysis, this is a subject, this is a verb, this is a noun, and all of that sort of thing. Well, that is important, but it's not the story of grammar. That's not where grammar begins and ends. That's where grammar begins, but it doesn't end there. It's a bit like, you know, if you're going to learn to drive, and the man says, or the woman says, right, now I'm going to teach you to drive. That's the wheel. I got that? Right. That's the brake. You understand? Yeah. That's the accelerator. You got it? And you go around the whole car like that, now you know how to drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's not like that. To drive, you've got to know all about roads and sensitivity and where you want to go and why you want to go there. So same with grammar. If you're doing grammar, you've got to know where you want to drive your grammar to. And that means not just analysing sentences, but communicatively understanding why the sentences are being used, a semantic perspective first of all, what do the sentences mean, and then what's the effect of using these sentences on other people, a pragmatic perspective as well. And putting those two together, the semantics and the pragmatics, that's when grammar goes out into the real world and you start looking around and saying, look at that sentence over there, isn't that an interesting sentence? Why have they used it in the, you know, entry prohibited, you see in the street. Why are they using the passive construction, not the active? What's going on? Why do they never say, I prohibit you, or we prohibit you?
So is this a book about how to teach grammar? Because
no, it's an explanation of why grammar is the way it is. People are always asking me this question, you know, where do these terms come from? Who invented words like subject and predicate? And how is it that grammar has developed this kind of negative feeling over the years, over the centuries even. So the book is more an explanation about the study of grammar rather than a teaching mechanism. On the other hand, to make it more attractive, I brought in a dimension on how children learn grammar. And this is a useful perspective, and that does tie in with English language teaching, because, you know, the stages through which children learn their grammar from age 0 to age 12 parallel to some extent the stages through which you'd introduce foreign learners to learning of English.
Yeah, well, that sounds interesting.
So I found it a very interesting book to write.
Yeah, great. So more of a book for teachers than for students?
Well, it's a book for anybody who's interested in grammar. Of course, teachers and students will be interested, but I was aiming at the general public, you know, of which there are 2 kinds. People who learned a bit about grammar once upon a time, maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, and remember it with distaste, and then have forgotten an awful lot about it, but they still are a bit puzzled by it. And then a middle set of generations from about 1970 to about 1990 odd, who didn't get any grammar in school at all. But they encounter the people who have done some grammar, who say to them, you know, you should never split an infinitive. You should never end a sentence. That is bad grammar. They don't know why. So the book is an attempt to explain why.
Yeah. Linking into that in some way, my wife, who was an English teacher and is a non-native speaker, I mean, she learned English as a second language and was very into grammar and very interested in grammar. And then when she came to live here in the UK, she was like, people here don't know any grammar.
Yeah, you know? That's right. An awful lot of people say that their first experience of grammar was when they were learning a foreign language.
Yeah.
And that's really rather strange because learning about grammar is learning about language, because grammar is there to express meaning. Grammar is there to help us make sense of words. Words by themselves do not make sense. You need a sentence for it to make sense, and you need a discourse to make that sentence make sense. And all of this has to be part of the study of grammar. It's very essential.
Yeah. Moving on a bit, we were talking earlier a bit about Brexit and the possible implications that will have on the English language.
Oh, Brexit. Yeah. Sorry, Brexit. Is that something that's happened recently?
Yeah, I think it's a new kind of breakfast cereal,
oh,
isn't it? Brexit.
Yeah,
have your Brexit.
That's right. In fact, I was at the European Parliament not so long ago talking to the translators and interpreters about this. I don't think there's going to be any effect whatsoever.
No.
Just because England, Britain, the UK, what do they call it? The United Kingdom decides to go in a different direction. The 60 million people or so who speak English over here, and the 2 billion people speaking English around the world, you know, hello, is that going to be a big deal?
Yeah.
Even if the whole European Union decided to go in a different direction, it is still only a small proportion of the English speakers of the world.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't actually think that there's going to be much of a change. There'll be fewer native speakers perhaps around in Brussels and Luxembourg, and that means that Euro-English, or perhaps I should say Euro-Englishes, because there are many different kinds of English out there, are likely to have more of an influence on the future development of the language than it has at the moment. But if the European Union wants to continue a relationship with the rest of the world, as it does, then they're going to have to continue to use the global lingua franca, as it were. And in any case, there is a country for which English is an official language, namely Ireland, so they can't ignore it from that point of view either. So I don't see much change, actually.
Yeah, and also the United States, they speak English there, I think, don't they?
So I'm told.
Yeah,
so I'm told. Believe me, we do. We're going to make America great again, and we're going to do it, you know, well,
oh,
yes.
yeah, although I was very, very sympathetic when a group, I was in the lift coming down from the hotel earlier today, and there were a group of Americans there with their suitcases leaving, and they got off on level 1 instead, and I said,
oh, of course.
It's not the ground floor, you know, and they were like, what?
Yes, these cultural differences are absolutely crucial. It's one of the commonest questions that I get asked here at IATEFL is I talked about it last year. I'm not doing any talks this year here at IATEFL. I did 4 last year.
Wow.
But this year they've sort of rather let me off. I'm doing a couple of meet the patron sessions like I do, so that people get the chance to come up and say hello and tell me about what they've been doing and how sometimes they've been using books of mine and things of that kind. One thing I'm doing this year, which I've never done before, is you know, people come up and say, "Oh, you're not giving a talk this year," and I say, "No," and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's nice to hear, but I'm doing a summer weekend."
A summer weekend?
A summer weekend, yes, for charity in my hometown of Holyhead in the middle of August, the 19th, 20th of August. And what I'm doing is I'm putting on a series of talks over 2 days, which basically gives short insights into all the talks I've done at IATEFL over the years, plus a few others at the same time. It's a charity gig, really, to help support the local arts centre there. And I'm looking forward to that because I've never done it before, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Great.
People want information about it, they can find it on my blog or on my website.
And your blog is davidcrystal.com?
No, davidcrystal.com is the website name, and the blog is, there's a link there to the blog. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, that's going to be something new this year for me. Yeah.
So if you're in Holyhead in August, that's something to check out.
Well, absolutely. Anglesey, of course, the sunshine capital of Wales, so they say.
So they say, yeah. Well, I hope it's true.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for coming along. It's been great to talk to you as always.
Yeah,
We'll be
real
back in
pleasure.
a few minutes. I'm not quite sure who with, but we will be back. So trust me on that one, and I'll see you soon.